Whew, I think we got it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, connecting has been just an interesting nightmare for the most part. Yeah, I am living in my RV and was told that I would have great Wi-Fi where we're at, and it didn't quite work out like they told me that it would. So I'm here. I'm at Starbucks. I am sitting outside because inside is way too noisy with blenders and everything else going on. So I'm here in Barstow, California. Weather's great. The sun's shining. Let me show you real quick. There's a really cool McDonald's right across the road from me. It's got old train cars in it. I actually went over there and tried to connect there, but that didn't work either. So it's the old Barstow station, which was kind of cute inside. There's a Dunkin' Donuts and a chocolate place, Panda Express, lots of fun in there. So if you get through Barstow, you ought to stop in there and check it out. I'm a McDonald's person, but it is a really cute one. So today, we're going to talk about tax homes. And hi everybody, if you could just give me some thumbs up, some hearts, whatever, let me know if you can hear me okay. I've got kind of a weak signal, so I'm going to do my best here. The dust and the wind is making my eyes water too, so I'm not crying, I promise. So Barstow, California today. Tomorrow we're actually going to be heading over to the Salton Sea and Slab City. I've been to both, but my dad hasn't, so we're gonna take the bees out that way and check it out. I'm hoping that the Salton Sea doesn't stink as bad as it did the last time I was there, but I think that was in like July or August. So got tears. I don't know why. Oh, because my eyes are watering. Hopefully, yeah. So stay out here. It's been really windy here in Barstow, and so the dust is just really affecting my eyes. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate feedback there. So, heading to the Salton Sea in Slab City. Today is technically supposed to be the last of the monthly live videos, but I missed one because I wasn't able to get connected. So, I'm going next Monday at 2 p.m. We're going to do that, the one that I missed a couple of weeks ago. Oh, now my nose is going to sniffle. Sorry about that. So, first thing, connect, maybe. Okay, I think I'm back now. Not a super great signal, but we'll do our best here today. So, post in the comments what your experience level is and what your number one tip is for saving on housing money. I know a lot of us want to save money as we travel, so taking tax-free stipends and such is one of the ways to do that with with the rates being a little bit lower and housing being very expensive. It's nice to maximize that tax-free money when we can. But there are some really significant reasons and rules surrounding the tax-free monies and claiming tax-free housing that you really need to be aware of if you're looking to be a travel nurse or a traveler in general. Oh, excuse me. So, tax homes and tax-free monies. First and foremost, I am not a tax professional. Believe it or not. Didn't go to school for that. I'm a nurse. So, I am giving you my opinions here and the advice that I've gleaned over the years. Please do not take this as expert advice. If you're seeking tax consulting, please consult with a tax expert. That's really important, and I cannot stress that enough. Many of you ask questions on the network and such about tax issues, and there's some bad advice being given there. I'll be real honest with you. Don't rely on that information that you're receiving via social media. It's really important that you consult with an expert, whether it's legal issues or tax issues or whatever. You always want to go to the expert in that field. So what I'm giving you here is what information I've gleaned over the last several years that I've traveled. But please consult with an expert for specific information, because everyone's tax situation is very unique, and what fits for one doesn't necessarily fit for the other. So, hello everyone. Again, give me your experience level and your number one tip for saving money on housing. So I'm told that we're also streaming these, or snippets of these, on our Snapchat account. So if you haven't connected with the Gypsy Nurse on Snapchat, you can do that too. How do you qualify for tax-free monies is the first topic that we're going to talk about. You'll hear tax-free monies being called stipends or allowances or subsidies or GSAs. Lots of different terms going on there. They used to call it a tax advantage plan. They've kind of went away from that terminology, but you may still hear that once in a while. The first and foremost rule that I always tell everyone is, in order to qualify for tax-free money, whether that's tax-free housing or tax-free stipends, in order to qualify for that, you must be traveling away from your tax home. Now, it doesn't just mean that you can be away from your hometown. You actually have to be away from your tax home in order to claim those tax-free monies. Now, there's traffic, sorry. There's a difference between a tax home and a permanent residence, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But basically, you need to have a tax home that you're duplicating expenses from. So you're paying rent somewhere, basically. You are paying rent or paying a mortgage or renting a room. And yes, you can rent from a family member. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Tax-free or per diem monies, as it's often called, is a term that's loosely applied. But basically what that is the GSA, the government, has set out a rate for meals and for housing for employees that are going, say, on a seminar or working away from home for a week, in our case 3 months. It's an allowance that gives them money to eat off of and live off of while they're working away from home. Same principles apply for the travel nurse. We're working away from home. Now, a business traveler could not claim tax-free monies if they don't have a home, and that's the same for us as well. You cannot claim those monies if you are not actually traveling away from your home. It's a duplication of expenses. That's a term that I like to use as well. Duplication of expenses. If you're not duplicating expenses, then it's not eligible to be tax-free. Pretty simple way to look at that. Government standard rates are posted on the GSA website. I think it's gsa.gov. You can always look this up. Now, interestingly enough, those are government guidelines, and if your company is offering you $240 a week for per diem and the GSA says that it should be $360, that's not uncommon. It's not always going to be a maximum amount that's listed on the GSA. So something to keep in mind there when you're doing negotiating. There's a lot more information on the website about all this, and I'll post those links for you after we're done today. So GSA is generally broken down into two components. One's being your lodging. So if your company is providing your lodging, then you're not going to be eligible for the lodging money tax-free. However, your lodging being tax-free is an element in that, and that you still have to be duplicating expenses in order to claim that tax-free lodging. We're going to move on to what a tax home is. And if you have specific questions, post them in the comment so that I can get those addressed and answered. This is a huge topic, and we could probably spend 3 weeks talking about it rather than 30 minutes. So post your questions in the in comments if you have them, and I'll try and get them answered. And if I don't get them answered here on the live chat, I will do my best to get them answered and follow-up article for you. So again, just my disclaimer, I am not a tax professional. Please seek expert advice if you're looking for specific tax information. I'm just here to give you some generalities and some industry standards that I've learned throughout the years. So, tax home. You'll hear this term a lot. What is a tax home? Tax home, the IRS actually looks at your permanent residence versus your tax residence. So you've got two different elements there. Your permanent residence is where you live. Your tax residence is your traditional place of employment. So basically that's where do you earn your money. That's what the IRS determines as your tax residence. In fact, I haven't earned any money in Indiana, which is my home. I haven't earned any money in Indiana in quite some time. And yet, because that's my traditional place of employment, Indiana still claims me as far as tax purposes. Again, it's kind of a unique to each person's individual situation, so I always recommend that you talk to a tax professional about that as well. We've got Laura on, Laura with Nomadic Care. She's a great resource as well for tons of information. Jamie Dent, hey, how are you? We've got lots of people on here that can definitely help answer some of your questions as well. And again, with all things Gypsy Nurse, we want this to be a collaborative effort. So post your thoughts, your comments, your questions, post them in the comments so that we can all work together to educate each other. Again, I'm not an expert. I just know what I've learned over the last 12-ish years or so. So tax homes, where do you make most of your money is generally kind of one of the qualifiers for determining your tax home. There are, for those of us that have been traveling for a while, we may not have a place of primary income because we're traveling and we're all over the place. So there are 3 qualifiers, and generally you have to meet one of the qualifiers in order to qualify for that being your tax home. Number 1 being significant income there, which we just talked about. Number 2, have substantial expenses maintaining a residence, which are duplicated while on assignment. That phrase right there is really, really, really important. Substantial expenses maintaining a residence, which are duplicated. So again, that goes back to the duplication of expenses. And if you're not duplicating expenses, then you are not qualifying for tax-free monies. And we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the effects that you could find if you're claiming tax-free monies and don't qualify for it. So remember, I'm just going to remind everybody, Facebook Live uses a ton of data. So if you are on Facebook Live, I'd love to have you stay. But if you're on Facebook Live through your cellular plan and do not have an unlimited cellular, you might want to disconnect and come back and watch the video on our YouTube channel later, because it does use a ton of data. It's recommended that you utilize a Wi-Fi access when you're going to be viewing Facebook Live. So number 1, significant income at home. Number 2, substantial expenses maintaining a residence and duplicating expenses. And number 3, that you have not abandoned your tax home. We're going to talk a little bit about a tax home abandonment here. Basically, in a nutshell, the IRS requires that every 2 years you go back home for what they can call a substantial stay, which generally is about 45 days on standard, is what I've always been recommended by my tax professional. So make sure that you talk to your tax advisor about tax home abandonment and make sure that you are not being considered as abandoning your tax home. Can you rent out your tax home? Yes, you can rent out your tax home. However, it's my understanding from the research that I've done and the consultations that I've had that you must maintain a space for yourself, for your primary use. So, if you have a 3-bedroom house, you can rent 2 bedrooms out. You just cannot rent the entire house. You still have to be able to maintain access to live in that house at all times in order for that to be considered duplication expenses. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm in Barstow, California, and it's been super windy. It's super dusty. My nose is sniffling, so I apologize for that. But this is me. I guess that's what Facebook Live is it gives you the real me here. No making up things. So here I am, sniffles and all. It's windy today, so the dust is blowing, and it's a little bit chilly. Sun's shining though, so can't beat that. It's been rainy the last few days. So we talked about what is a tax home, briefly touched on the abandonment issue now, and talked about, can you rent your tax home? Can you rent from a parent or a friend is a question that I also get quite frequently. Yes, you can. You can rent from parents. The problem being is that you have to actually rent from them. You have to pay them. Because if you're not paying them, it's not duplication of expenses. Thank you, Laura. Sheila, I'm in Barstow, California. And I was fine until I turned on the video, and now I'm sniffling like crazy, so I do apologize. So, renting from a parent or a friend, yes, you can. You have to pay what is considered fair market value. Fair market value is easy to determine. I recommend looking in your local newspaper if you're in a small town, see what rents are going for. If you're in a larger metropolitan area, Craigslist is a great place to look for fair market value. So if a room's being rented for $350 a month for a room, then if you're paying your parents or your friend $350 a month, then traveling away from that home, then yes, you are duplicating expenses. I'm not sure where Brentwood's at, Sheila. Get with me after the video and let's see how close we are. I'd love to see you. So, renting from a parent or friend has to be fair market value, and it has to be reported. Not only do you have to actually pay them, that the friend or the family member actually has to claim that as income on their taxes because it is income. So, the couple of things there that are really, really important. So basically, I'll be real honest, I see a lot of fraud in their industry, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. We're given the ability to get tax-free money and tax-free housing due to the nature of our job, but the abuse of it's going to be the downfall of our industry if we're not careful. We really, really, really need to make sure that we're following the rules on this. They're pretty simple, and it's not always financially prudent. Myself, I traveled for probably 10 years while maintaining a tax home, paid rent, I had an apartment. I was never there. So finally I'm like, you know what, this is crazy. I'm paying $500 a month for an apartment so that I can duplicate my expenses and claim tax-free money. And when I flipped it over and went to work as what is called an itinerant, which is where you have no tax home, don't claim any tax-free money, I found that I wasn't making any less money. I was bringing home just about the same amount as I was when I was claiming a tax home. So going itinerant for me was a great option, because then I didn't have to worry about maintaining a tax home. I was able to just take completely tax monies and go that way. So the problem with going itinerant is that most agencies do not want to pay you full wages. They want you to take the tax-free monies. And there's a couple of reasons for that. We save money. We make more money, supposedly, if we get tax-free money because we're not paying taxes on it. So does the agency. So it's beneficial for the agency to pay you a lower taxable wage so that they don't have to pay employment taxes or payroll taxes on a higher amount. So if they're paying payroll taxes on $20 an hour versus paying payroll taxes on $30 an hour, then they're saving money in the long run. It's really difficult to find an agency that will pay you full taxable and not want to pay you or not and push you to pay you those tax-free monies. But it's your responsibility to make sure that you qualify for those tax-free monies in order to claim them, because it's you that is going to get audited, or you that's going to get penalties and fees if you are claiming those tax-free monies and don't qualify for them. So be very, very cautious of that. So agency benefits for tax-free is lower workman's comp, disability, and unemployment taxes. Those amounts vary by state. They pay lower payroll taxes. So payroll taxes, the FICA, Medicare, and Social Security, we all pay. The company pays a portion and we pay a portion. So we're saving on those taxes when we receive tax-free monies, but the employer is also saving on those monies when they're paying tax-free monies. Those can come up to about 7.5% to 8%, depending. Medicare taxes in 2016 were 1.45%, and Social Security was 6.2%. So in 2016, the total amount of payroll taxes that both you and the agency were paying is 7.65%. Again, I apologize for my sniffle nose, guys. So 7.65% that the company is saving by paying you tax-free money. And again, you're saving that money as well. But you have to maintain a tax home in order to claim that money. What happens if you are claiming it and you don't qualify for it? What happens is you do run a risk of being audited. I don't know a lot. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot of travelers that have been audited, but I personally have never been willing to take that risk. Should you get audited, that's just an example. Should you get audited and you're claiming tax-free, just housing, let's just look at housing. If you're claiming tax-free housing that you don't qualify for, say that's $2,000 a month that your company is paying for your housing. So $2,000 times 12 months is, I'm not going to do the math in my head. I know it's easy, but I can't think about it right now. So $2,000 a month, you'll end up paying, if you're audited and aren't legitimately claiming that as tax-free, not only will you be charged the taxes, the back taxes on that $2,000 a month, you'll also be charged penalties, late fees, and sorry, my battery is going to die. Let me get plugged in here real quick. Sorry, I thought I had a good connection there. Look, you get to see the sky for a moment. All right, sorry about that, guys. I know the connection's, the view's not quite. There we go. Okay, so if you're claiming for tax-free and you don't qualify for it, you end up paying taxes on the back income, because even the housing is considered income at $2,000 a month, back fees and penalties, which can add up to quite a little bit. So for me personally, I was never willing to take that risk, because you could be talking tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long. So I just don't recommend it. know that you actually qualify for those tax-free benefits if you're planning to take them. Very, very important. So again, for those of you, and I apologize for this, I'm there. Maybe that's a little bit, or maybe not. Doing live video is not as easy as you might think, especially for a long period of time. So, I'm going to reiterate, I am not a tax professional, so please consult with a tax professional and seek expert advice, just like you would on anything. Legal advice, tax advice, both of those are really important. Don't always trust everything you hear on Facebook because it's not necessarily true just because it's on Facebook. Again, couple of things we talked about: how do you qualify, which boiled down to must be traveling away from home, and you must be basically duplicating your expenses. So if you're not traveling away from home and duplicating your expenses, you may not actually qualify for tax-free monies. We talked about what a tax home is. There's a difference between a tax home and a tax residence, or a tax residence and a permanent residence, sorry. And then we talked about the abandonment issue, the fact that you do have to go back home at some point. Most of us don't like to hear that, but it's true. So something to talk to your tax professional about is the tax home abandonment issue. Popular questions would be, can I rent out my tax home? And yes, you can, but again, you have to rent out your tax home for fair market value, and you have to maintain, not for fair market value, you have to maintain a space for yourself. So make sure that you're maintaining part of that house for yourself if you're planning to continue to utilize that for your tax home. Can you rent from your parents? Yes. Can you rent from a friend? Yes. But you have to be paying fair market value. The downside of claiming tax-free monies. These are some of the things that you don't necessarily always hear about. And there's not a big amount of them, but a couple of things to be aware of. If you are claiming tax-free monies, you're lowering your taxable income. By lowering your taxable income, this also lowers any disability that you might qualify for in the future. It decreases the amount of unemployment taxes that you're paying, so therefore it's going to decrease the amount of unemployment that you receive should you qualify for unemployment in the future. The other thing that it will also affect is your Social Security income, your retirement income. So if you're claiming tax-free money and you're not putting money away for your retirement, I highly, highly encourage you to get with an investment counselor and start looking at that. It's one of the things that I was a little late on. I won't lie. A lot of what I tell you are things that I've learned along the way that I should have done myself and didn't necessarily do. But if you're not looking out for your retirement, taking a lower hourly, that is eventually going to decrease the amount of Social Security insurance that you'll receive in the future. So those three things are very important to understand when you're claiming tax-free monies and lowering that taxable wage. So let's see. Penalties and fees. Why does the agency want to pay tax-free? We talked about that. Please, I encourage you to post your questions or your comments in the comment sections there. And this video will be available for you via our YouTube channel, and I'll post the link up on the group. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. I appreciate it. Just a really quick review. How do you qualify? What is a tax home? The abandonment issue. Popular questions about renting out the tax home and renting from a parent. The downside of claiming tax-free money, and why does the agency want to pay you tax-free? So that's really about it, and I don't see anybody has posted any questions. Next Monday, we're going to go back, and I'm going to try and get back on and talk about choosing a location for your next travel adventure. We were unable to do that one a couple of weeks back just because of technical issues, so I'm hoping to get that one done next week. After that, we're looking forward to your feedback on whether you feel like these are useful, whether they're helpful. What are your thoughts on the live videos? And we'll determine from there whether or not we want to continue these. I'll be real honest with you, it takes some work. It takes some work to get these out there to you. Some pre-planning and obviously some internet connectivity issues with me being on the road full time. So definitely give us your feedback if you think these are helpful and would like to see us continue them. And if you do want us to continue them, please let us know what topics are interesting to you so that we can focus on the topics that you want to hear about. Okay. Next Monday, don't forget, Christmas is coming up. So if you reach out to the other travelers in your area, we don't want anybody to be alone for Christmas. Get together, invite your coworkers to join you for a holiday meal or something, even if it's not on the holiday. It really doesn't matter. Just reach out to others. This is a really, really difficult season for a lot of people, so I encourage you to be the collaborative and community gypsies that you are, and reach out to your fellow travelers and help them get through the holiday season here. So we've also got our new tools, which are going to help that connectivity quite a bit, and I'm hoping that those will be out by the end of December. Still working on them. We want them to be perfect for you when we launch them, although they probably won't be, but we definitely want you to be able to reach out to the other travelers and whatnot. So if you want to sign up for those, you can sign up for those at thegypsynurse.info. That's thegypsynurse.info. Our regular website is gypsynurse.com, where you can find a lot of the resources that I've talked about both today and on the other live videos. So thegypsynurse.com is your resource for all things travel nurse. So I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I wish you a Merry Christmas if I don't see you next week. And